All right. Getting ready for a Roustabout interview, huh? Not exactly your typical office gig, is it? We're talking oil rigs, heavy machinery, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, it's a tough field for sure.
Yeah,
So we're diving deep today, making sure you're not just prepared, but ready to really impress.
exactly. We're going all in with RoleCatcher's resources, career guides, interview prep, even their AI tools.
It's like getting a sneak peek at what those hiring managers are looking for in a roustabout, you know?
That's the gold right there. We don't just want generic answers. We want to understand the questions, why they're asking them, and how to craft responses that really hit the mark.
It's like you wouldn't show up to an oil rig without the right tools, would you? Same idea here. We're giving you the knowledge and the strategies to nail that interview.
I like that, the right tools for the job. Okay, so first things first. RoleCatcher does a great job laying out what a roustabout actually does.
Yeah, it's more than just a title, right? It's the heart of the operation. We're talking maintaining equipment, using all kinds of tools, and a lot of physical work, cleaning, digging, even painting those rig components.
Not for someone who wants to sit at a desk all day, that's for sure. RoleCatcher also points out the pros and cons travel, learning specialized skills, but also long hours, tough conditions.
Exactly. You got to know what you're getting into, both the good and the bad, before you walk into that interview. Shows you've done your research and you're not just chasing a paycheck.
It's all about the right fit.
Hmm.
And speaking of fit, let's talk about RoleCatcher's AI and how that comes into play.
Now, this is where it gets interesting. So you upload your resume, right? And their AI goes to work comparing it to the specific roustabout job you're after.
Hold on, so it's not like a general resume review, it's tailored to that specific job.
You got it. It flags any skill gaps, things the employer wants that you might not be emphasizing enough. Then it gives you personalized advice on how to tweak your resume for maximum impact.
That's amazing. It's like having a resume expert who knows exactly what that company wants to see.
Exactly. And it goes beyond just the resume. RoleCatcher's AI can actually analyze your answers to interview questions, giving you feedback on your content, how you structure your answers, even your tone of voice.
All right, that's huge. So we've laid the groundwork, we know what the role involves, and we've got RoleCatcher's AI in our corner. Now let's get down to those interview questions.
Let's do it. And remember, we're not about memorizing some canned responses. It's about understanding what they're truly asking and then showing them who you are, what you bring to the table.
All right, first question up, and RoleCatcher says, this is a common one. What motivated you to pursue a career as a roustabout?
It's a simple question, but it goes deeper than just your motivation. They're trying to gauge your passion for the industry, you know? Have you really thought about this as a career?
So saying good pay probably won't cut it, huh?
You're catching on. This is your chance to show them you're genuinely interested. Think back. What sparked that interest? Was it a project you worked on? Maybe a mentor who inspired you? Maybe even how this fits into your long-term goals?
It's about showing them you're not just looking for any job, you're looking for a path, right? What kind of follow-up questions could they ask about that?
They might dig deeper into those experiences you mentioned. If you talk about a project, they might ask about the challenges you faced or what you learned. If you mention a mentor, they might ask about the advice that really stuck with you.
It's about being ready to tell your story, to show that passion and commitment. Okay, next question. How do you ensure safety and follow safety protocols while working on an oil rig?
Ah, safety. Now this one is huge. They absolutely have to know you take safety seriously. Oil rigs are high-risk environments, and they need to know you're not going to cut corners.
So it's not enough to just say safety is important. What kind of specific things could you talk about here?
Exactly. Think about times you went above and beyond. Maybe you spotted a potential hazard before it became a problem, or a time you helped implement a new safety procedure. This is where your knowledge of those specific protocols really matters.
They might even ask, tell me about a time you had to enforce a safety rule. Right.
Absolutely. Be ready with a good story, one that shows you're committed to safety, not just for yourself, but for the entire team.
All right, next question. This one seems pretty important in a job like this. How do you handle working in a physically demanding and challenging environment?
They're looking for resilience here, plain and simple. Oil rig work is tough, physically and mentally. They need to know you can handle the pressure, the long hours, the conditions.
So this is where you show them you're tough, you're determined. What are some good examples you could use here?
Have you had other jobs that were physically demanding? Talk about those experiences. What kept you going? How did you handle the challenges? Maybe you have a hobby that requires endurance. Even that can be relevant.
It's about showing them you can handle it, right? That you've got the stamina and the mental toughness to thrive in that kind of environment. And RoleCatcher's AI can help fine-tune those answers too, right?
You bet. You plug in your responses, and the AI analyzes them, suggests ways to make them stronger, more impactful, more in line with the company culture.
It's like having a coach right there in your pocket, helping you put your best foot forward. Okay, let's tackle another question. What experience do you have working with heavy machinery and equipment?
Here's where you get specific. What types of machinery have you operated? Any experience with maintenance or repairs? Don't just list them off, though. Tell a story about a time you used your skills to solve a problem or achieve something.
I bet they might follow up with, tell me about a time you had to troubleshoot a problem with a piece of equipment, right?
Exactly. They want to see how you think, how you solve problems, how well you can work on your own.
Okay, this next one seems to be all about being organized and managing your time. How do you manage competing priorities and deadlines on an oil rig?
They're looking for someone who can stay focused when things get hectic. Things change fast on a rig, so being able to prioritize, adapt, and meet deadlines is crucial.
So what kind of examples would show them you can handle that? Maybe a time you had to juggle multiple tasks at once.
Definitely. You can also talk about how you manage your time. Do you use a planner? Do you prioritize by urgency? This is also a good spot to highlight your communication skills, keeping your supervisor updated, communicating clearly with your team.
It's about showing them you're not just a hard worker, you're a smart worker who can get things done. And again, RoleCatcher's AI can help polish those answers,
You
right?
got it. Ben play. Plug in your answers. The AI highlights areas to improve, even offers suggestions based on best practices for this particular role.
Okay, let's dig into this next question. How do you ensure the efficient and safe transportation of materials and equipment on an oil rig?
This one's all about teamwork and communication. They want to know you can work well with others, follow those safety protocols, and help things run smoothly.
So it's not just moving stuff around, it's doing it safely and efficiently as part of a team. What kind of examples would you use here?
Think about a time you had to coordinate with others to move materials or equipment. What were the challenges? How did you make sure everyone was on the same page? Did you go the extra mile for safety?
It's about being a team player who values both efficiency and safety.
Exactly. Remember, on an oil rig, everyone depends on each other, everyone doing their part. Showing that you can contribute to that is key.
Okay, we're making good progress here.
Yeah.
Let's move on to a question that's about staying up to date in this ever-changing industry. How do you stay current with industry developments and changes?
This is where you show them you're not just looking for a job, you're looking for a career. The oil and gas industry is constantly evolving, and they want to see you're invested in staying ahead of the curve.
So how do you prove that? What are some things you could point to?
Think about any industry publications you read, conferences you attend, even online forums or communities you're part of. Do you take any online courses or get certifications to improve your skills?
It's kind of like RoleCatcher itself, a hub for staying informed and connected. Do you think they'd appreciate that comparison?
It's a great way to show initiative, that you're actively seeking out knowledge. You could even mention specific articles or things you've learned from RoleCatcher's resources.
Okay, let's tackle this next one. How do you handle conflicts or disagreements with team members?
The conflict question. This is about maturity, about communication. They want to know you can handle those inevitable disagreements in a professional way. Remember, teamwork is everything on a rig.
So we can't just say we've never had a conflict, right?
Nope, gotta be honest, but keep it professional. Pick a situation where you handled a disagreement well. Focus on how you communicated, found common ground, and resolved the issue in a way that was good for the team.
Maybe even something like, I see those tough team situations as a chance to improve my communication and problem-solving skills.
Now, that's a great way to put it. It shows you're self-aware, and you can turn a potentially negative situation into a learning experience.
All right, let's get a little more technical. RoleCatcher highlights this one.
Okay.
Can you describe your experience with insert specific type of equipment commonly used by Roustabouts?
Here's where your research on the company and the specific role pays off. They don't just want general knowledge. They want to know you have experience with the equipment they actually use. So brush up on the details beforehand, what it does, the safety procedures, any special skills needed to operate it.
And what if you haven't used that exact piece of equipment before?
Honesty is the best policy. Acknowledge that you haven't used that specific model, but highlight your experience with similar equipment and your willingness to learn new things.
Maybe something like, I'm a fast learner and I'm confident I can get up to speed on your equipment quickly.
Exactly. It's all about showing them you're adaptable and eager to learn. Remember, employers often value the right attitude and aptitude just as much as years of experience on that exact machine.
Okay, here's one that can be a bit tricky. What are your salary expectations?
Always a tough one, but you gotta be prepared. Do your research on what roustabouts typically make in your area and be realistic. You can give them a range instead of a specific number, leaves room for negotiation.
So something like, based on my experience and what's typical in the industry, I'm looking for a salary in the range of insert realistic salary range.
Perfect. You can also add, I'm confident that my skills and contributions would justify a salary at the higher end of that range.
It's about knowing your worth, but also being open to discussion. Okay, let's switch gears and talk about the questions you should be asking the interviewer. RoleCatcher emphasizes this too, right?
Absolutely. Asking good questions shows you're engaged, curious, and really thinking about the role.
So what kind of questions should we have ready?
Ask about the company culture, the team dynamics, any opportunities for training and advancement. You could ask about specific projects you'd be working on, the challenges of the role, even the company's safety record.
It's about showing them you've done your homework, that you're interested in more than just a paycheck. And don't forget, RoleCatcher's AI can even help you refine your questions.
You got it. Put your questions into the platform, and the AI analyzes them, offers suggestions on how to phrase them for maximum impact, make sure they're relevant to that specific company and role.
It's like having a personal interview coach, helping you craft questions that impress the interviewer and give you valuable insights.
Exactly. And remember, the interview goes both ways. It's your chance to see if they're the right fit for you, just as much as it is for them to see if you're the right fit for them.
Great point. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground in this section, from showcasing your long-term vision to handling those tricky salary questions and asking insightful questions of your own.
And remember, it's not about memorizing answers. It's about understanding the why behind the questions and using that to craft authentic, compelling responses that showcase your value as a potential roustabout.
All right, we're ready to wrap things up and tie it all together in part 3.
Looking forward to it. Let's make sure you walk into that interview feeling confident, prepared, and ready to land that job. Welcome back. Let's jump right back into those interview questions. Remember, it's not just about what you say, it's about why they're asking and making your answers count.
It's about understanding the game, right? Okay, RoleCatcher had this interesting point about thinking long-term, like, where do you see yourself going in this industry?
Yeah, they might not ask it directly, but you should be ready to talk about it. Shows you're not just looking for a job, you're thinking about a career.
So how do we bring that up naturally?
RoleCatcher has these career stage outlines, pretty cool stuff. They show how a roustabout can move up to senior roustabout, maybe even supervisor roles, or specialized stuff like derrick hand or pipeline pump operator. Get familiar with those paths.
So when they ask about your strengths or your goals, you can tie those back to the skills you need for those higher level positions.
Exactly. Shows ambition, that you've thought about growth opportunities within the company. You could even ask, what kind of training or mentorship do you offer to help people move up?
Oh, smart. Turning it into a question. Shows you're thinking ahead. Okay, back to RoleCatcher's questions. What about this one? Describe a time you had to work under pressure to meet a tight deadline.
Classic. They want to see how you handle stress, how you prioritize, can you deliver when things get crazy. Think of a specific example, a project that went down to the wire. Walk them through it, how you managed your time, communicated with the team, got it done.
I bet they'll ask, what did you learn from that experience?
Oh, for sure. They want to see that you can reflect, learn from your mistakes, and do better next time. That's where you show you're adaptable.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Teamwork question. Tell me about a time you had to work with a difficult team member. How did you handle it?
The dreaded difficult coworker question. It's all about conflict resolution. Can you navigate those tricky situations and keep things positive?
So we can't just say everyone we've worked with has been amazing, right?
Definitely not. Be honest but professional. Pick an example where you handled it well. Focus on the communication, finding common ground, and solving the problem for the whole team.
Maybe say something like, I actually see those tough team situations as a chance to get better at communication and problem solving.
Love it. Shows self-awareness and that you can turn a negative into a positive.
Okay, getting a bit more technical now. RoleCatcher highlights this one. Can you describe your experience with insert specific type of equipment commonly used by roustabouts?
Here's where researching the company and the role pays off. They want more than just basic knowledge. They want to know you've worked with the stuff they use. So before the interview, brush up on the specifics. What it does, safety protocols, any special skills needed.
What if you haven't used that exact piece of equipment?
Honesty is key. Just say you haven't used that specific model, but highlight your experience with similar stuff and that you're a fast learner.
I'm a fast learner, and I'm sure I can get up to speed quickly.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Perfect. Shows adaptability and willingness to learn. Remember, they're often looking for the right attitude just as much as years of experience on that exact machine.
Okay, here comes a tricky one. What are your salary expectations?
It's always a tough one, but be prepared. Do your research, know what roustabouts make in your area, and be realistic. Give them a range, not a specific number. Leaves room to negotiate.
So based on my experience in industry standards, I'm looking for a salary in the range of insert realistic salary range.
Exactly. You can also add, I'm confident that my skills and contributions would justify a salary at the higher end of that range.
Confident but open to discussion. Okay, let's talk about the questions you should ask them. RoleCatcher is big on this, right?
Oh yeah, asking good questions shows you're engaged, you're curious, you're thinking critically about the role.
So what kind of questions should we have ready?
Ask about the company culture, the team, opportunities for training and advancement. Ask about specific projects, the challenges of the role, even the company's safety record.
It's all about showing them you've done your homework, that you're not just in it for the paycheck. And hey, RoleCatcher's AI can help you refine your questions too.
Right. Plug them into the platform. The AI looks them over, offers suggestions on how to phrase them, make sure they're relevant to the company and the role.
Like having a personal interview coach right there in your pocket, helping you ask questions that will impress them and give you valuable info.
Exactly. And remember, the interview is a two-way street. It's your chance to figure out if they're right for you too.
Great point.
Right.
Okay, we've covered a lot here, from thinking long-term to handling salary questions and asking our own smart questions.
Don't forget, it's not about memorizing answers. It's about understanding why they're asking and using that to craft authentic, compelling responses that show your value.
All right, ready to wrap things up and tie it all together in part 3?
Let's do it. Let's make sure you walk into that interview feeling confident, prepared, and ready to get that job.
Okay, we've really dug deep into this whole roustabout thing, from the day-to-day work to those tough interview questions.
Yeah. You know, it's impressive how RoleCatcher takes interview prep so seriously, going beyond just general advice to give you those tools and insights that make a difference.
Yeah, we talked about their AI for resume analysis, feedback on interview answers. It's like having a secret weapon, you know?
It's like, imagine showing up to a job on an oil rig without the right equipment, right? RoleCatcher makes sure you've got the tools you need for this interview.
Love that analogy.
Yeah.
So wrapping up this deep dive, what are the key things you want our listeners to remember?
First off, gotta understand what it means to be a roustabout. It's demanding, challenging, but rewarding if it's the right fit.
Second, preparation is everything. RoleCatcher gives you so much info on the industry, the role, potential career paths. Use that knowledge to show them you're passionate and committed.
Third, practice those interview answers. And I don't mean just memorizing, but really understanding the questions, why they're asking them, and crafting answers that are true to you, your experiences, your strengths.
And lastly, don't forget RoleCatcher's AI tools. They can help you tailor your resume, refine your answers, even come up with smart questions to ask the interviewer.
Like having a personal coach in your pocket, guiding you every step of the way. And remember, the interview is a two-way street. You're checking them out just as much as they're checking you out.
Exactly. So walking into that interview, remember, you've got the knowledge, the tools, the prep. Now, go show them what you're made of.
Go get them.
And that wraps up another deep dive, folks. Until next time,